will also be on preparations for the forthcoming election in 2022. No? So maabutan yan at saka yung closing ng academic year. We have to make the necessary adjustments as they occur. And besides, ang ating pinaka-stretch, sabi nga ni President, sagarin niya talaga yung maximum allowable na ma-minimize ang harm, but at the same time we continue giving an education to our children, kaya napili niya yung October. We have to make the necessary adjustments, lalo na on the matter of the assessment of the students and so on. But we are also hoping and praying that there will be changes in the health picture. Kasi itong desisyon na ito is based on what is happening now, what is now the status of COVID, particularly in the two regions. And if the picture improves, surely we will have to be making adjustment. And the President has that kind of power which has been given to him by the law. Thank you, Ina.
Ma'am, last question na lang po on my part. Siguro po just a message to the parents, teachers, and learners who are na-move na naman po yung school opening natin. Thank you po.
Thank you. These are very difficult times. All of us know that, Ina. And things change on a day-to-day basis. Numbers change. And we have to adjust to these new situations. But if things get better, we can also adjust in a positive way. I know that it is difficult for us because we are used to school calendars. We are used to schedules. Ganito, kailan ang enrollment, ganitong araw ang examinations, ganitong araw ang last day of classes, ganitong araw, ganitong week ang graduation. Hindi na natin magawa ngayon yan dahil all over the country, the situation is different. And also, sa buong bansa, nagbabago din ang situation, which is affected also by the worldwide behavior of coronavirus. So we have to be helping and understanding each other on this particular issue. But we thank really the parents for their patience and their children who are very impatient, wanting to go to school already, for their understanding and for their support. Thank you.
Ma'am, sorry, yun po bang postponement both for public and private school?
Yes.
Kasi may mga private schools na po na nag-open na. So paano po sila ngayon na nakapagsimula na sila ng classes noong July?
Kasi usually itong mga private schools na ito, attached sila sa universities and colleges and local universities, locally established universities. And so, sabi na ang CHED na hindi sila affected by the law on school openings kasi nasa higher education sila. Although, mayroon silang mga basic education units. So, nakaumpisa na sila. And as I said, my favorite example is that school in Siquijor. June pa, nag-umpisa na sila. And I believe that they are doing well with the support of the local government. And sayang naman kung titigilan natin sila. Ang medyo sabay-sabay, yung hindi pa nakaumpisa at saka yung talagang pangmalakihan na kailangang ayusin ng husto. Thank you.
Thank
Alright.
you po.
Maraming salamat, Ina. Ang susunod na magtatanong, ma'am, si John Vic Mateo po ng Philippine Star. Go ahead, John Vic.
Hello po, good afternoon po. Question lang po on using the new law for the suspension of the postponement of the opening of classes. Wala pa po kasi yatang IRR or na-issue na po ba natin yung IRR para magamit natin yung bagong batas doon sa pag-postpone ng classes?
That's an excellent question. Kasi ang provision dyan, may IRR o hindi, ipagpatuloy na ang implementation. Nasa batas din mismo yan. Oo. hinihintay natin yung IRR, pero si COVID naman hindi naman naghihintay. Ang sitwasyon hindi naghihintay. So ginamit na ng presidente yung power na binigay sa kanya ng batas na yon, na siya ang mag-decide on our recommendation.
Yung the past few days, you raised some issues kapag na-postpone yung classes. May mga malinaw na po ba tayong gagawin to make sure lang na hindi mangyayari yung mga issues na sinabi nyo? Naalala ko po yung binanggit nyo regarding doon sa readiness ng mga bata dahil tatanda sila kapag nag-postpone tayo further. Meron na po ba tayong mga pagbabago na gagawin, for example, sa curriculum just to make sure na pasok pa rin doon sa mga pangangailangan nila yung lessons natin by October?
Tama yung question mo dahil sinabi na nga namin sa report din namin sa presidente na mayroong trade-offs, no? But now that the president has decided, we will have to make the corresponding adjustments, no? Kasi siguradong apektado diyan ang curriculum, siguradong affect diyan ang readiness ng bata. At saka tingnan natin, kaya mahirap to go beyond October. Aabot ka ng 1 year, you will lose 6 months of education for the child, and the child might even forget what he or she has learned. Especially may 2 months na silang summer vacation. Ito, haharapin namin dahil mayroon ng desisyon ang presidente. We'll have to find ways and means by which we can respond to this dahil these are really real constraints also and real challenges na the parents especially are concerned about this.
Last na lang po sa akin. Ma'am, balikan ko lang yung sa private schools kasi I heard that you said na kasama rin sila, but pwede ba nilang
Pakilakas nga dyan.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yung sa private schools, kasi you mentioned nakasama rin sila. Just want to clarify, kasi yung iba gusto nang mag-open by August 24. Pwede ba nilang gamitin yung autonomy nila doon sa pag-ayos ng guidelines nila? We have the manual for private schools. Pwede ba nilang gamitin yun para mag-open sila earlier than October? Kasi may mga concerns sa pasweldo ng teachers, among other issues sa private school sector.
Yun nga ang sinabi ko. Maraming private schools, bahagi sila ng universities, bahagi sila ng locally built universities and colleges. Mga sinasabi nilang LICs ba yun, local institutions, no? So sabi nila, we are institutions of higher learning. It so happens that they have basic education units. So sa tingin ng CHED, hindi sila apektado nitong batas na ito, and so they are proceeding and we respect that. Mayroong mga eskwelahan, I know, na nag-umpisa na sila ng June, pero ang constraint lamang talaga dito ay yung requirements ng MECQ. Kung Metro Manila ka, medyo may challenge to implement and to continue with learning as planned dahil sa mga requirements ng IATF at saka ng Department of Health. Mayroon talagang limitations. Like kami sa aming central office, we have to resort to mga skeleton forces, etc. So the capacity to work and to produce is vastly reduced. Pero be as it may, we have to be making adjustment. It is a challenge to the department, and we seek your understanding and your support because nasabi na nga namin talaga itong mga challenges na ito, and they are there. We recognize we are not ignoring them. So the thing is to find ways of adjusting and making sure na una yung required sinasabi nating learning competencies masusunod, na hindi tayo madidistract sa fascination and obsession with elections by next year, na hindi tayo ma-affect masyado sa downturn ng economy. Hopefully, mag-recover na ang economy. Maraming mga factors, but it's not as if we have a choice. Nandiyan na sila eh. At saka na-recognize na. The good thing is that we recognize them. And since we recognize them, we'll have to do something about it. And we need the help of media. We need the help of the various sectors who consider education as very important. After this press conference, we're going to have a whole day meeting of our management committee. And we will be discussing in detail. We will be requiring all our regional offices to submit the strategies which they are thinking of in order to respond to challenges which we already know. Alam niyo naman dyan, rini-recite namin yan palagi. Alam naman namin kung ano yung challenges na yan. Alam naman namin kung ano yung mga trade-offs while we are trying to adjust to the COVID situation in these two regions. Kasama na doon, of course, yung mga administrative costs and requirements. So, lahat yan sinabi namin sa Presidente and gumawa siya ng choice. Kasi para sa kanya, ang importante is to keep the children and the teachers absolutely safe.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, John Vic. Ang susunod, ma'am, si Jody po, Agoncillo ng Inquirer. Go ahead, Jody.
Hi ma'am. Hi, Secretary
Hi.
Bayon. Good afternoon po. Ma'am, actually nasagot na po yung sa IRR. Nabanggit lang po kasi in a Senate meeting or hearing ni Senator Francis Tolentino na wala pa raw pong, aside from the IRR, wala pa raw daw pong public consultations with teachers and students.
We cannot say that because we, as I said, sa social media, the teachers are talking to us all the time. The parents are talking to us all the time, and we conduct surveys. We cannot get together in the usual consultation. Dati kasi we would have annual conferences on education. You have thousands of people gathered in one place and going through all the challenges, the problems, the excitement of education. Hindi natin yan magagawa. Marami tayong ginagawa virtually. At saka, pinofocus natin sa mga sitwasyon sa regions. At saka ang mga regions, yun ang nagko-conduct ng mga consultations at their level. Dahil magkaiba yung situation. Like on the matter, for example, of, as I said, yung mga risk assessments. You would have one region na isang syudad napakataas ng level ng COVID, but the surrounding provinces are halos wala, no? And then of course you wonder. And on the matter, for example, of the use of schoolhouses, we have provinces and local governments who do not ask to use our schoolhouses, while there are those who want to use all our schoolhouses. So itong mga bagay na ito, hindi natin magawa na yung mass consultation na nasanayan na natin. At binibigyan naman tayo ng feedback dahil nga sa napaka-active sa social media, ang daming sulat na natatanggap natin at saka immediate, very fast. At saka yung consultation, ang daming hearings, halos araw-araw mayroong hearing in both houses wherein affected sectors are also invited and they also say their piece. So hindi natin masasabing walang consultation dahil mismo ang Senado nagkokonsulta, mismo ang Congress nagkokonsulta, mismo kami nagkokonsulta. At saka yung recommendations namin na binigay sa Presidente is based also on consultations. Hindi naman yan produkto sa utak ni Briones, no? Yung recommendations at saka yung analysis. It's the entire MANCOM na inupuan talaga yon at saka tinitingnan nila, nagre-report sila kung anong nangyayari. There are 17 regions. Each of them reports on what is happening in the region. Whenever we meet, and then we tell them to consult the parents, Hindi pwedeng hindi sila magkukonsulta kasi sa paggawa ng material, sa pangangailangan ng space, kailangan ikonsulta din ang local governments. You will recall there was a period na I was batting really for face-to-face, di ba? That I was transmitting the requests of local governments. Mga League of City Mayors, for example, wanted face-to-face. And also international schools wanted face-to-face. That, I believe, is consultation. Pero hindi yung libo-libo. These are various groups who go to us or we go to them. And it's happening all the time, practically 24 hours a day.
Thank you very much, Secretary. Ma'am, yes, ma'am, thank you. Ma'am, in 2017, there are 4 million dropouts. And because of the pandemic, some teachers from the University of the Philippines said that this might double because of the pandemic, dahil takot nga sila and mas prefer daw po nila yung face-to-face classes. And some teachers said they're proposing to postpone the classes because they are not yet ready yet because of the modules. There's a different module that is designed for ALS learners. So how do we respond to these challenges, ma'am?
Ang alternative learning systems for those who cannot go to school sa regular manner is a very special legacy program of the president. He has an interest in those who are not able to go through the usual ways of going to school. It is true na bumaba ang numbers, and this is largely because of the downturn in the economy. Kasi marami sa mga AL students natin work during the day or work at odd hours, mga fishermen, mga factory workers, and they are also kasama doon ang mga mature people. And nung nawalan sila ng trabaho, nawalan din sila ng time para sa pag-enroll. Pero makahabol sila, and we are now conducting a very vigorous campaign. Our numbers also are improving very much. Hindi na maaabot, hindi na ka na magbibilang ng milyon-milyon dyan. Yung milyon-milyon dyan, nangyari yan sa yung galing sa private sector. Halimbawa, nababawasan na yon dahil bumubuti naman ang ekonomiya. So ang tanong anong gagawin natin itong hindi sila makapasok? Pinapaalam namin sa kanila na nandyan pa rin ang alternative learning systems. Pwede silang, ang kabutihan ng alternative learning, pwede silang pumasok at any time. At saka may sarili silang assessment tests. At saka ngayon, as I said, the numbers are so much better than last June. Halimbawa, dahil the economy is improving, at saka yung mga nagsisiuwian sa probinsya, alam nila na may ALS din sa kanilang probinsya, sa kanilang bayan. At saka local governments are all out in helping them. Nandyan din si Department of Labor and Employment na tumutulong din. Nandyan ang TESDA. Ang TESDA nagbibigay ng training and upskilling sa mga vocational skills na kailangan ng mga workers natin. It's not as if forever and ever mayroon tayong milyon-milyon. Hindi na milyon-milyon ang binibilang natin ngayon dahil nag-improve ng sitwasyon. Alam na ng mga tao, pag uwi nila, mayroon silang opportunity also to participate in the ALS program. At saka ang kabuntihan, as I said, they can come in any time. May sarili silang examinations, may sarili silang mga teachers. Oo. So sa palagay ko, bababa yung mga numero na yan. At bumababa naman.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you so much, Jody. That's Jody Gonzalo from Inquirer, ma'am. Ang susunod na magtatanong ay si Bons Magsambol ng Rappler. Bons?
Hello po, Secretary Briones. Good PM.
Hi, Bon.
Ma'am, I just want to clarify, why po October 5 yung napili natin? This adjustment po ba will be enough for the printing of the modules and the other preparations for the other modes of learning?
Yes, kinakalculate namin yan. Actually, ang hinihingi halimbawa ng Region 4, ang hiningi ng Region 4 ay up to September 7. September 7. Tapos ang hinihingi naman ng NCR is 1 more week. Pero sa isip namin, mabuti nang magbigay tayo ng allowance kasi because of the impact on our logistical requirements and activities. Dahil nga skeleton force na lang ang nag-ooperate ngayon at saka yung pag-produce ng materials, etc. So nagbigay tayo ng allowance para hindi na naman sasabihin pag umpisa natin sa September, kung halimbawa September, sasabihin na naman na hindi tayo handa. By October, talagang handang-handa tayo. And kami nga, pero it does not have to be taken seriously. October the month of October has very significant importance for not only for us but also for the rest of the world. No, maraming diyan ang the month of October. Hopefully tapos na yung mga ulan, tapos na yung mga difficulties. Ang inaano namin kasi nakasalalay kasi sa COVID lahat na ito, ang COVID naman ang nag-trigger. So hopefully by October rather than baka alanganin naman kung isang buwan lang ang i-allot natin sa pag-improve ng COVID situation, talagang pinaluwagan natin yan at yun ang ating yun ang desisyon ng presidente because he wants as much time as possible na ma-enhance talaga ang protection ng mga bata at saka yung mga teachers.
Okay. Ma'am, for my next question, I just want to clarify. You said earlier that this applies both to private and the public schools with the exemption of those basic education curriculum na under the CHED or under the universities. In that assumption po, paano po yung mga private schools na hindi Ateneo or LaSalle or other big schools po na private or under big universities? Pwede po ba silang...
Nasabi na namin yan noon pa when we were saying na we have to stick to August 24. Sinabi na namin na may nagbubukas ng June. And nag-uumpisa na sila ng June. Ngayon, nandyan na, nakaumpisa na sila. It will be a great source of disappointment for the learners kung titigilan mo yan. At saka nakaboilo na sila, kumbaga. Kasi it takes time for a child to boilo into the learning mode. Lalo na ngayong 5 buwan sila na hindi pumapasok. So ang aming internal policy niyan kung nakakaumpisa na sila at umuobra naman, but they have to comply with the requirements of the MECQ or of the Department of Health. So magko-comply sila kasi otherwise sasabihin na naman na wala kaming puso, mga monster kami, ini-expose yung mga teacher, etc. etc. Sa MECQ, kung bawal mag-move around, hindi sila maka-move around. Tsaka yung mga bata talaga, sinasabi na natin na walang face-to-face, kailangan wala silang face-to-face. Originally, ang mga private schools, kasi sanay na sila sa blended learning. Dahil matagal na namang strategy itong blended learning. Sanay na sila na mayroon talagang component ng face-to-face yung kanilang mga curricula. Pero ngayon, they will have to comply with the requirement na walang face-to-face. And in the case of the 2 regions, they will have to comply also with the requirements. Pero nandiyan na sila And it would be very difficult also na nagboilo na tapos pipigilin, magboilo, pipigilin, which is also very complicated for us. Ang favorite ko, I'm sorry, my favorite is Siquijor because I'm just across Siquijor. Negros Oriental is just across Siquijor. Nag-umpisa sila ng June. Sabi namin, kung pipigilin namin sila, nakaumpisa na, kung todo tulong na ng involvement ng local government, kung todo involvement na ng mga parents, tapos titigilan natin, that would not be useful at all. So that's how it is. And besides, we all know the situation of private school teachers who are not under contracts. Kasi ang nasa public, they get paid 12 months a year. Pero yung sa private, kung wala kang contract na ganon, no work, no pay ang classification ng isang teacher. And that is also, we believe also inhuman, because they are also qualified and they also know what they are doing. And we have to give them that opportunity to share their knowledge with the children as well.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Bons, may follow-up ka? Follow-up question or okay na? Hello, Bons? Nawala ata si Bons, ma'am. Okay.
Po,
go
hello
ahead.
po.
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, just want to clarify lang din para din clear. Ito po, can private schools po decide on their own? Parang natanong na po ito kanina, pero para lang din malinaw regarding even this postponement.
Yung sa postponement, private schools are under the umbrella also of the Department of Education insofar as basic education is concerned, yung sa basic education. Pero may sarili din silang mga operations manuals, operations activities which they also comply with. Ang gusto namin generally nakakomply sila sa DepEd regulations. As a matter of fact, they're even asking for more autonomy, na hayaan sila to make their own decisions for adjustments and so on. And we have to consider this very carefully. Also, ang hindi natin papansin na we also have this practice of homeschooling, kung saan ang mga parents, mga mothers, they also decide na that they are capable of teaching their children. And yung iba naman ang homeschooling na expand na to little schools in the homes of the teachers, etc. Hindi lamang yung mother teaching her children, but perhaps an institutionalized mechanism na nagtuturo ka ng ilan, very limited na enrollment. But of course, it's also very expensive, but that is allowed under certain conditions and regulations as an approach also to effective learning.
Okay. So ma'am, just last one final question. For those private schools po na syempre ma-extend tayo ng another 2 months, is DepEd considering po giving financial aid or assistance to private school teachers na magiging jobless na naman for another 2 months?
Alam mo, ang decision na yan, hindi sa DepEd, because I have always sympathized with the status of private school teachers. Let me share with you without identifying names. I know someone from the University of the Philippines who has a PhD in education. He has a PhD in mathematics. And I cannot even understand his dissertation. Kasi ganon kalalim yung kanyang dissertation. And he transferred from UP, which is a public institution, to a private institution because he was attracted by the terms. Ngayon, naabutan na siya. Ay hindi naman siya 12 months. So, 6 months na siya, PhD in mathematics, na walang sweldo, na walang trabaho, na while we are scrounging around for teachers of mathematics. So these are examples of the disparities which have to be resolved. And my views about private school teachers, of course, are well known, no? And I understand that some congressmen, kasi hindi sa amin we have nothing in our budget for private school teachers. Ang binibigay is for our own public school teachers who are paid 12 months a year. So I understand that there are congressmen, and mabuti naman yan, members of the legislature who are trying to do something about it. We have discussed this in the IATF, the plight of these teachers. Hindi bali na, by the way, we cannot generalize naman for all private school teachers kasi yung mga private school teachers na may contract for 12 months na na sila, very senior na, they are not affected at all. Ang medyo affected yung no work no pay principle, which applies to those na walang contracts for an entire year, like this friend of mine, no. So these are the realities of the situation, and various groups are looking for solutions, but not DepEd. DepEd does not have provision in its own budget. It will probably be a national decision, and right now the Bayanihan law is, I believe, is under consideration, and some members of the legislature are thinking of ways of helping out these private school teachers who are jobless at this time. And nasa listahan namin yan ng mga, as I said, mga costs of the delays which have to be looked at realistically and very carefully. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Maraming salamat, Bons. No? Ang susunod na magtatanong ay si Jasmine Romero ng ABS-CBN. Jasmine?
Hi, Jasmine.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Good afternoon po sa iba nating mga kasama dyan. Ang tatanong ko po ay, ano po ba yung basis kung bakit October 5 po ang napagdesisyonan ng DepEd? At ano po yung mga events leading to October 5 na nakaschedule?
Kasi ang iniisip natin, 'di ba, August 24, and nakalatag na yung lahat ng mga activities up to August 24. Tapos nagkaroon ng problema ang dalawang regions, and they constitute at least a third of the learner population. Dalawang regions lang 'yon, pero ganon sila kalaki, lalo na ang Region 4A. At saka nandyan si NCR, of course, pero mas malaki talaga ang Region 4A. Ngayon, so those adjustments have to be made as well, no? Paano pili yung October? Sinabi ko na kanina na ang request ng Region 4A ay September. Tapos ang request naman ng NCR is up to perhaps third week of September. Kasi nahati yung aming workforce, kasi skeletal workforce na lang, and maraming complicating factors because of the risk classification involved. Now, ang sabi namin, pwede namang bigyan natin ng space talaga na parang ready na, masigurado na talaga tayo na nandyan na lahat na pangangailangan for this to. Crucial kasi itong dalawang regions na ito eh. You're thinking NCR, you're thinking 4A, which is the industrial hub of the country, no, and has a huge, very varied population. So bibigyan natin ng allowance up to October. Actually, iniisip din yung September, pero ang gusto ng President October. Sabi niya, as much space as possible, yun ang gusto niya. Kasi pwede naman August, pwede September, pwede October, October ang pinili niya para mas may panahon talaga. Ang consideration niya is, kami ang consideration namin, and you know all the factors that we are considering in addition to COVID. Ang consideration ni President is essentially COVID and the health situation. Yun ang consideration niya, primary consideration, na hopefully by October may may glimmer of hope already, an improvement in the COVID side. Si
Second question po, Secretary, meron lang po nagpapatanong from our kababayans, mga OFWs po, no? Ang tatanong po sila kung kasama rin po ba sa rescheduling ng school opening ang mga Philippine schools overseas?
yung mga schools overseas, they will have to comply with in the same manner that yung mga international schools na nandito sa Pilipinas have to comply with their own regulations. They will have to comply with the regulations of the host country. So at the same time, they get their permits also from us, pero largely in terms of the curriculum. Pero yung mga other requirements, those are imposed by the host country itself. So yun ang ano, kasi mayroong mga countries mag-umpisa sila September, mayroong kung anong buwan, because that is determined by the climate, they comply kung kailan yon. So iba yung sitwasyon ng mga international schools abroad, and I have had occasion also to visit some of these schools. Ang ating interest lamang, Jasmine, is that our curriculum is retained, and nagdadagdag sila ng other aspects. For example, I noticed they're very, very strong in sports kasi many of the children have mixed parentage. So kung basketball ang pag-uusapan mo, they're very, very tall, and they're very, very, very big in some of the countries. So mayroon talagang napaka deep interest in sports, for example. So nag-a-adjust, and you have to comply with the laws of the country. Thank you.
Last question na lang po. Meron na po ba tayong latest figures on COVID? Yung mga teachers po at mga personnel na naka-contract po ng disease, at saka meron na po, paano po palalakasin ng DepEd yung measures para kung sakaling matuloy po yung October 5 na school opening, hindi po sila mahahawa?
Paano sila mahahawa? Kung mahahawa sila, hindi sa DepEd, Jasmine. Dahil hindi naman sila lalabas. Wala namang face-to-face. At saka ngayon, very minimal yung may mga COVID cases. Mabibilang mo lang sa daliri ng isang kamay. Dahil nga, hindi naman nagtuturo ngayon ang mga teachers. May mga kaso tayo, pero iilan-ilan lamang na mga teachers. At mataas naman ang recovery rate. Mayroon of course unavoidable na mayroon ding pumapanaw, pero may mga complicating illnesses. Yun ang alam ko isa. Oo. Isipin mo, 900,000 sila. This is because hindi naman sila pumapasok at this time. So mahirap nating ititrace, for example, sinabi ko na nga iyon, ay sabihin na naman wala akong puso. Hindi natin matitrace agad-agad kung DepEd ang pinanggalingan ng isang infection. At the time na hindi naman nagtuturo ang mga teachers, hindi naman lumalabas. Pero
kahit
we have to comply also with the requirements of the Department of Health. And we are looking already, we are identifying funds. Nandiyan naman si Yusik Ann, pwede makabigay sa iyo ng mga detalye kung paano natin maalagaan kung mayroon man tayo. Maski na sabihin natin na hindi matitrace sa DepEd, tinutulungan pa rin natin. Sinabi ko na yan sa iyo, Jasmine, sa maraming nagtatanong. Lahat na nagkakasakit, tinutulungan talaga natin ngayon. Hindi naman tayo nagtatanong, oy, sa DepEd building mo ba yan nakuha? Sa DepEd webinar mo ba yan nakuha? Hindi. Tinutulungan naman talaga sila. Either voluntary, kasi there are organizations. I don't know about other organizations, but I know the professional organizations like mga supervisors, mga principals, mga non-teaching na organized, mayroon silang sariling pondo nila. At saka kami, mayroon naman kaming ma-identify na mga funding na wala pang record na alam ko na hindi namin tinutulungan ang isang teacher. At saka no questions asked na yun, Jasmine. sa mga ganong klaseng instances.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
ma'am. Maraming
Salamat po.
Jasmine. Siguro may additional si Yusek Ann, ma'am, about yung assistance na binibigay natin, yung mga benefits po. Yusek Ann, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Secretary, and to our media partners and to the public as well. Ma'am, meron tayong 32,000 audience earlier, so they really are listening to your announcement. And just an update about the question of Jasmine on the welfare of our personnel. Ang update po is through the Office of Yusek Jess Mateo, we are coordinating with PhilHealth so that we can have an accommodation that is really fit for our teacher personnel who will be out in the work area, as well as coordination with DBM and Commission on Audit as well. We'd like to take this opportunity to clarify the answer that I provided in our last presscon meeting. Again, yung question po doon is very specific. Do we have a DepEd budget? So again, we will insist that there is none in our budget, but kung meron pong may bibigay sa atin, and this is a question that we are directing to DBM and to the lawmakers as well, kasi ang budget po ay pinapasa bilang batas. Kung ma-authorize tayo, and then we will do it. So ngayon po, we are limited and constrained to what we have right now, and what we have is the protection, the disinfection, the decontamination, provision of all supplies that we need, and partnership and coordination with the Department of Health, the PhilHealth, and the local government units. So lahat ay pinag-speak natin, ma'am, at yung ating Employee Welfare Division are all doing their best to have this disseminated as a simple information na po pwede pong maintindihan lahat ng personnel natin. Sige po, ma'am.
At saka experience natin, Jasmine, ang talagang agency which oversees the health not only of our teachers but all Filipinos, we coordinate very closely with them. Sila ang nagtutulong sa atin kung kailangan i-hospitalize ang isang pasyente, which does not happen naman very often. No, nagbibigay ng advice. Halimbawa, tumutulong sila kung kailangang ipaswab o ipa-examine ang isang employee natin. Kasi yun ang arena ng like kami, ang arena namin ay education, ang arena ng Department of Health ay health. So we work very closely together. Lalo na ngayon na napagbigyan na natin yung request nila na 50% of our schools will be used as quarantine facilities. We expect also the same measure of care. Saka binibigyan talaga tayo ng atensyon whenever nagre-request tayo na tulungan yung tao natin wherever. And as I said, usually the supervisors, the bosses, the principals, and the fellow teachers themselves go out of their way. At saka kasi ang tinatanong mo, mayroon bang public funds na magagamit dito? Meron, pero limited. And we have to work, as I said, with the Department of Health. Pero yung mga organizations natin sa loob ng Department of Education, talagang nagtutulungan sila. At saka hindi na sila kailangan pagsabihan. Gumagawa na sila. Kasi ang worry ng mga teachers na nag-aano sa Jasmine, baka papabayaan sila. Wala pa kaming instance, wala akong instance na alam na pinapabayaan ang isang teacher. And no questions asked yan. Hindi lang namin mabigay yung mga pangalan at etc. because we have to deal also with the Privacy Commission, which is very sensitive about revealing names unless it is really very important, like policy makers, they have to reveal. Pero for others, we have to deal also with the Privacy Commission as well. Oo. Hindi na, tsaka ganun ang ugali ng Pilipino Ganun ang ugali ng Filipino organizations. Hahanapan at hahanapan niya ng paraan. Ang ayaw lang namin, binagbabawal namin, yung mga nagkukunwari na sila ay si Secretary Briones na nagpa-fundraising para sa mga pasyente ng COVID o biktima ng bagyo, pwede bang magdeposito kayo sa ganitong bank account? Kasi hindi kami nagsusolicit ng pera unless established talaga na institution, no? At kung minsan naman yung iba dahil natatouch sila sa istorya, bigay ka agad, deposit ka agad at malalaki naman pa naman kung minsan yung amount. So kung pwede lang dahil nasa media kayo, paki-warning naman sa publiko na hindi sila i-check nila yung mga humihingi ng kontribusyon sa kanila hingil sa mga biktima ng sakuna o bagyo o COVID. Pero so far, Jasmine, hindi namin pinapabayaan yung mga tao namin. Pag meron man. Pero ngayon, kunting-kunti lang dahil I already explained the situation in the department. Compared perhaps, for example, to one department na isang division o isang sub-department na halos lahat matatamaan ng COVID. Hindi yan nangyayari sa DepEd. Walang ganon. Okay.
Copy, ma'am. Secretary, marami pong salamat. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, ang susunod na magtatanong ay si Noel Talakay po ng Malaya. Noel, go ahead. Noel?
Hello po.
Ayun.
Hello. Hello, naririnig niyo na po ba ako?
Yes, very clear. Ma'am, okay lang po ba yun?
Secretary, good afternoon po. Secretary, i-clarify ko lang po, since extended na po yung opening of classes, yung ganun din po ba yung pagsasara ng school year 2020 to 2021? Mababago rin po ba? O mag-stay po sa April or March?
Yun ang kahirapan. Kailangan talaga namin ang challenge kasi i-reprogram namin yung closing dahil ang batas nag-specify ng number of or equivalent number of days. Pero since we are moving, kailangan na i-adjust yan. Ang isang makaka-complicate ng matters, of course, is already preparation for elections sa ibang mga tao, elections in their mind already. At saka yung sunod-sunod na holidays, kasi dadating si Holy Week, dadating ang mga fiesta, and so kasi locally declared holidays ito by the local government. So yan, dapat i-adjust and mag-find tayo ng equivalencies, mga make-up classes. At saka yung sa batas na bago ay sinasabi na mag-hold ng Saturday classes. Ang request ko sana, hindi natin sabing Saturday kasi may mga tao naman na nagsasamba sila on Saturdays. At hindi lamang yung mga Seventh-day Adventists. Marami ding ibang grupo na nagwo-worship on Saturdays. So kung anong days na available para maka-make up yung mga bata. Pero definitely adjustments have to be made dahil mahuhuli tayo ng mga other public events as we approach summer and as we move closer to the elections.
May specific date na po ba or month kung kailan po yung end ng school year? Na ano niyo na po ba yun, ma'am, na kumbaga na plano niyo na po ba?
Ma'am, naka-mute po ata kayo. Ma'am?
Sorry. Yung question about the closing of classes, that has to be adjusted kasi earlier assumption was August 24. Nung hindi pa naka-decide si President, August 24 ang Pero ngayon, that has to be moved at saka it will be a very challenging task. Tapos halimbawa, yung mga dalawang sets of holidays yan, Christmas, Holy Week, and other local holidays which are declared usually also by the local governments. Ang kabutihan na lang, virtual tayo, so makaka-adjust siguro naman tayo.
So as of this time po, wala pa pong plano kung kailan ba talagang specific?
Paplanuhin na yan ngayon. We are scheduled to have a workshop today with the Mancom. At saka nag-issue na kami ng instructions sa ating mga regional directors sa mga schools na mag-work out na sila kung paano nila maka-adjust sa itong bagong schedule.
Secretary, one more question po. Yung pag-extend po ng class opening sa October 5, is it safe to say na nakikinig din yung DepEd sa ibang gusto ng mga parents na gusto nila i-move?
Sinabi naman namin yan na as early as April, nagko-consultation process na kami. At saka isang bahagi, of course, yung view ng mga parents. Maraming aspetong tinitingnan yan. Ang primary is really the status of COVID. And the status of those two regions which compose practically 1/3 of the learner populations na very crucial itong dalawang lugar na ito. Ma-affected yung kanilang activities itong dalawang region na ito. This is why I was telling my members of the EXICOM, some members of the EXICOM na we have to make adjustments for the places na low risk naman ang assessment o zero risk ang assessment, because there are places na zero risk, there are places na no risk at all, and so we have to consider also naman their situation even as we think of NCR. Ang consideration dito, I just like to emphasize, is largely the health aspect na the President is looking forward na by October, the latest by October, may glimmer of hope and possibilities na makagawa na ng maayos na scheduling. COVID is the reason for this. And so we have to, yung ibang considerations, we will have to make allowances, which you already know and which I have always mentioned to you. Not
Secretary,
you, well, but to all of to the public.
Yes po. Secretary, one more question. Kasi yesterday, you mentioned na 50% ng school gagamitin for quarantine facilities. Secretary, pwede ko ba malaman kung ilang now equivalent to how many numbers po yung 50% na yon?
Ang request kasi ni Secretary Duque ay NCR, kasi ang NCR ang problemado. So ang estimate namin yan about kasi primero sabi niya all schools, sabi ko sa kanya baka hindi naman nila makayanan yung all schools, no? So ang estimate is about 17,000 classrooms yan. Palagay ko hindi yan mauubos. Kasi dito nagbi-build ng mga structures ang DPWH, kasi hahabulin din ng DPWH ng pag-build ng mga various structures. Ang klarong may numbers kami is NCR. Kasi sa ibang mga places na low risk, hindi naman ganun ka urgent yung pangangailangan. So maximum yan, but it does not mean na they are obliged that they have to fill up. Kasi kung isolation kasi, Noel, one patient per room yan eh. Pag-isolate natin dahil I underwent that. I had to stay in one room also by myself, no, when I underwent isolation. Otherwise it's no use. At saka separate banyo, separate toilet, yung mga ganong klaseng requirements. So yung aming 17,000 na 50% hindi naman siguro lahat magagamit dahil hindi naman practical na gagamitin yung mga schools na yan. Lalo na kung hahabol si DPWH kasi mahabol sila ng pag-build ng facilities. Oo.
Secretary, isa lang po talaga. Kasi na-remember ko before na yung DepEd nag-issue ng guidelines pagdating po sa gagawin facility ng mga classroom o school. Same pa rin po ba o may nagbago? Nasa mga guidelines. Yung before, yung sabi mo, dapat nagre-request yung LGU, tapos may kaakibat ng DOH ng mga guidelines. Ganun pa rin po ba?
Ganun pa rin, pero kailangan bilisan kasi in principle, kasi noon tinatawag natin kiss-to-kiss basis yan. Pag may kailangan, yung lalapit, tatawag, etc. Pero bilisan yon. Pero yung requirements nandoon pa rin. Like sinabi ko yan sa IATF na we will not encourage halimbawa the use of schools which are located in crowded areas. That would be very dangerous, no? We will not encourage the use of schools na kung kailangan tubig kasi requirement yan. Baka toneladang alcohol ang magagamit natin dyan. At saka preferably sana ang ideal is malapit sa isang health facility dahil kung isolation ang iniisip nila, at least 3 times ang pag-monitor ng ng vital signs So sabi namin na sana mayroon talagang health team na inassure naman kami ni Secretary Duque, but as to whether they will be able to achieve that, of course that is the challenge also that they are facing. So available yon, kung hindi mag-qualify yung mga schools namin, kaya hahabol yung DPWH, nandoon naman yung ibang mga facilities na malalaki, lalo na sa Metro Manila. Oo. Tsaka isa pa, final Noel na pandagdag po dyan, para talaga akong nanay na o lola na pinoprotekta si Apo. Yung marami ding mga city mayors na nagre-request sila ng face-to-face sessions para sa mga estudyante eventually, no, in 2021 gusto nila. Sabi namin, kung gusto niyo yung face-to-face, huwag ninyo ipagamit yung schools ninyo for quarantine. Hindi pwede na mayroon kang isang building na pang-quarantine o pang-isolation at the same time may isa kang building kung saan ka nagfi-face-to-face o may building ka na kung saan nag-oopisina ang mga teacher. It's one or the other. Yun ang sabi ko, because we cannot be mixing up people. Yun. Isang bagong dagdag po yun. Aside from the WHO requirements.
Thank you po.
Thank you so
Thank you, Sir June. Thank you, Sir Secretary.
Before magtanong yung ating panghuling kasamahan sa media, ma'am, na magtatanong ngayon, may mga follow-up lang po dito. Ma'am, yung tanong po is, will enrollment now resume since classes have been moved to October daw po?
Actually, class enrollment has been going on kasi even before COVID, mayroon na tayong circular saying that if a child can comply with 80% of the required hours that he should be spending for studying and for schooling, pwede siyang mag-late enrollment. Ang konsepto niyan ay tawag ay late enrollment. Actually, every day the numbers change. Lumalaki at lumalaki ang numbers ng enrollees natin. Kagaya ng tanong kanina ni inquirer about alternative learning. Every day the numbers on alternative learning systems also increased dahil nadiskubre nila na nandiyan pa pala si ALS, no? So nagbabago yan, and of course they can enroll basta makahabol sila. Kasi ang kondisyon yan, hahabulin nila yung mga requirements. At saka may mga bata naman na mabilis mag-pick up. Although mayroon yung mga bata din na kailangan tulungan sila. That's where the teacher comes in. Oo.
Alright, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, pwede mag-enroll. Late enrollment ang tawag niyan.
Yes, ma'am. Ang last na magtatanong, ma'am, ay si
moderate natin yan at saka marami ng taktika ang iniisip ang mga local government. Of fighting COVID, which have to be implemented in a much more vigorous manner. Kumbaga, like ako, when I was isolated, I was isolated in Batangas. My husband was isolated in Lang Center. My son was isolated in Marikina dahil because of the space constraints. At saka kasi mahirap pong primero sa bahay, separate ang banyo, separate ang toilet, pero nung talagang confirmed ako hindi na pumayag ang doktor dahil vulnerable age ako, vulnerable age ang husband ko. So we had to be separated, parang ganon. So kung sana na dinidiscourage na, by the way, ang home quarantine. Kasi sa home quarantine, madali din yung na i-ignore na home quarantine naman ako. So okay lang. 'Di ba karamihan sa atin nag-home quarantine. Ang policy ngayon sa Department of Health is to discourage home quarantine because we tend to be careless when we are at home. Because we are relaxed. It is our home. It is our castle. It's nobody's business how we move around in our home. We eat together, we laugh together, and we forget all about COVID. That's why we have homes, di ba? But that has to be ingrained, hopefully, along with the hopes for the vaccine. Hindi lang vaccine.
Hey, thank you so much, Jody. Ma'am, si Dante is online. May tanong po siya dito. Pero I think nasagot na ito, ma'am. Yung sabi dito is, paano po yung mga stand-alone private schools daw? Are they under DepEd mandat? Are they mandated to open on October 5?
Yung mga stand-alone na private schools?
Yes, apa.
As I said, yung halimbawa, yung mga homeschooling ay nasa bahay lang naman sila. Tinuturuan sila ng nanay nila. So mas na re-regulate sila, mas na monitor. Ang policy namin, kung nakaumpisa na sila, i-monitor yan ng Department of Education, magre-report sila, pero hindi namin sasabihin, hoy, tumigil kayo. Pero sumunod sila sa requirements ng IATF. Sumunod sila sa requirements ng Department of Health. Ang determinant dyan is not so much DepEd anymore. Dahil nandiyan na sila what IATF and what the Department of Health requires of them. Kasi nasa loob sila ng bahay, ang nanay supposedly ang nagtuturo o ang yaya o ang si ate ang nagtuturo ng bata. Kailangan masunod yung mga requirements ng Department of Health. At mamomonitor yan. Kaya medyo mas in a way, ang monitoring is more careful at this time, even if we have homeschooling, for example.
Maraming salamat. Ma'am, ito ata yung tanong na pang-closing statement nyo na. Tanong po ito ni Claudette ng Business Mirror. Ang tanong niya, what is your advice sa mga magulang or any activity in the home since their children will have to wait for over a month before the school opening, ma'am? Ano po yung suggestion ninyo daw?
Ang aking suggestion, kasi nandyan naman ang schools, you go through you go through you go through the simulation exercises. Maski wala pang klaseng formal, nasa bahay kayo, you can do it. May mga mothers, alam mo, they access already the DepEd Commons. And I have been receiving very good feedback on DepEd Commons from mothers even from other countries. Tinuturuan na nila yung mga anak nila, yung mga mothers na may panahon o may inclination, because not all mothers also are inclined to teach children. So marami silang magagawa dahil samantalang nasa loob sila ng bahay. Ako, ang suggestion ko mag-access ng DepEd Commons. Kung available na yung TV programs, Yusek Alain, ma-access na ba ang TV programs? At saka baka makasagot si Yusek Alain. Ang radio, nandyan na. Gamitin yan. Hindi yung maghihintay tayo ng October 5. Parang, yung play na waiting for Godot, waiting for October 5, waiting for August 24. But kailangan, it is to your advantage if you already start teaching your own children, si ate, si yaya, makakatulong, o even teacher. Oo, yun ini-encourage namin yung teacher. That's why we want them to keep an eye on the students that are assigned to them. Hindi naman kailangan bibisitain para ma-expose, kasi ma-expose sila at lahat. Ay ang nakikita natin sa simulations, pwede namang i-text, sabihin ay walang cellphone, pwede namang tawagan, pwede namang makinig sa radyo ng mga announcements dahil may mga successful radio programs na nakita natin yan sa Davao de Oro or sa Sarangani, no. May isang mother na in-illustrate yan sa yung aming last press conference with spokesperson Harry, na isang mother, 7 yung anak niya. Nakayanan niyang ituruan o monitor. Kasi ang iba sabi, gago ka talaga, Briones, paano mo maturuan iba't ibang grado, iba't ibang program. Hindi naman yun sabay-sabay Sinischedule naman yan. Siguro hindi naman kami ganun kagago na same hour ang isang klase. Nakaschedule yan on a day-to-day basis in arrangement with the service provider. So nagagawa niya yun, kitang-kita yung 7 anak niya na parang hagdan na nakakayanan niyang turuan, no? Isang nanay. Pero nakikinig din siya kung anong nangyayari, nag-attend siya ng mga briefing, saka modular ang ginamit niya. Ang maganda sa Maguindanao is talagang radyo at ICT, which is also very very interesting. Nakakatuwa yung iba't ibang modalities. Yung sa Sarangani, makita mo yung nanay umiiyak talaga dahil she has never studied. Hindi siya nakakapag-aral. Ngayon mayroon na siyang anak na nag-aaral. At siya din, siyempre nag-aaral din siya. Kasama siyang nag-aaral. The thing is to give hope to the children, to give hope to the parents, and to ensure continuity. That learning, ilang beses ko na yan sinabi na ang Vietnam, Mayo pa sila nagbukas ng klase. Singapore, naghahanda na sila for their national exams. At saka by the way, yung nagtataka kayo bakit nag-interest ako sa Pasig, no? Sa yung mga assignment ng cabinet members on the COVID programs. I'm very interested in Pasig because ang rating ng Pasig sa reading, sa science and mathematics is higher than the ratings of OECD countries, yung average scores nila. I'm interested in Region 6 because the rating of Region 6, kaya nung nagsabi yung halimbawa isang opisyal na hindi sila magkaklase sa Region 6 sa Iloilo, at parang ang sakit sa puso ko. There, I know that they excel in mathematics. This is Region 6. Kasi ang nakikita natin, yung sinasabi natin, ay nagbabagsakan, pero you have 20 schools in the Philippines whose scores in the PISA examination are very much higher than the scores of the OECD countries. Ano itong mga OECD countries? Ito yung mga Britain, mga Germany, mga kung ano-anong country sa European. But we got scores higher. Kaya kung halimbawa, tigilan natin ang Pasig, tigilan natin ang Region 6, tigilan natin halimbawa ang Baguio, napagkagaling sa English ng Baguio at nagtataka yung iba, bakit high school in the mountains marunong mag-English yung mga bata? Or you go to Apayao, bakit marunong mag-English yung mga bata? Anong nasa genes nila? So, sayang kung hindi natin ito ipagpatuloy. Sayang kung hindi tayo makabigay ng ganong klaseng opportunity sa ating mga kabataan. Dami ko na namang sinabi.
Thank you.
Kaya huwag na ninyo akong interviewin. Tawag kayo ng interview. Tanggap kayo ng mahabang briefing. Hindi na briefing yan. Longevity na yan. Sige.
Longing.
Oo.
I think I have to cut this press conference. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga executive.
Baka may mga contributions ang ating executives. Bumabawi lang ako dyan dahil for 2 weeks hindi ako nagpapa-interview dahil dinidiscuss namin itong mga issues na ito with the executive. At hindi ako say definitively on what the decision of the president is. Pero baka yung ating mga Yusek-Asik may mga gusto silang idagdag.
Yes, ma'am.
Chance na nilang singitan si Secretary na madaldal.
Si Yusek Ngepo po andito po ata. Yusek Ngepo Malaluan, sir. Go ahead po.
Babati lang ng good afternoon to all our media friends. Thank you.
Sinepo.
Alright. Yes, ma'am po. Bumati lang daw, ma'am. Alright. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Yusek Ngepo, and of course to all our media friends who were very quick to respond sa ating emergency press conference. Maraming salamat din po sa mga libo-libong nakasubaybay kanina sa ating live stream sa DepEd Philippines. Umabot ata ng 37,000 yung kanyang peak kanina. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for the good news, ma'am, sa ating mga parents, sa mga learners, at sa ating mga kaguruan. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Thank you po.
Salamat din.
Thank you, ma'am.
Salamat sa inyo lahat.